Greetings all you Metamaniacs, this is T-Money G, and today we have a first look at Juhani and Carth's new kit. The gang is back together as the Knights of the Old Republic companion tunes are brought into the game, 2 additional ones, and today we're going to listen in to a conversation with Miss Passiert and our very own GoodOlMaurice as they discuss these characters and what they are going to hopefully bring to our game. First, I'll go into each character just briefly. Juhani is a tank who also doubles as an attacker. She may replace General Kenobi on the squad as she does have a taunt. She cleanses and she recovers additional protection and health. We already know how annoying that can be when fighting a Revan team. Their passive health and protection increases. Now, we haven't been able to use this character, but she, on paper, looks to be quite meta-challenging, if not meta-breaking, and really any character who could potentially replace General Kenobi on a Revan squad is definitely something to look for. That said, all of the footage that you will see in this video today was provided by Capital Games. We have not had a chance to play with this character, and so I'm sure this will reveal itself in the next week or so, how good she actually is. Now on to Carth. Carth is an attacker. He's light side and Old Republic, and he lays down dots. So there's going to be some synergy there with other Old Republic characters. It looks to be that Carth could have some use in the tank raid, getting that solo to happen. But again, we have to play with these characters in order to really get a good sense of what they are. But 2 very interesting characters with the Old Republic tags. Let's now take a listen to GoodOlMaurice and Miss Passiert as they theorycraft and take a look at the characters' kits for the first time.
A tank who dispels buffs or debuffs and becomes more dangerous below full health. Her unique. When Juhani drops below 100% health, she recovers 5% protection for each active Jedi or Old Republic ally, then gains offensive, health steal up, and stealth for 2 turns. If she was taunting when this condition is met, she loses taunt. So regardless of whether she's taunting or not, if she drops below 100% health, she's going to disappear into stealth, gain those buffs, and recover protection. And then, of course, with health steal up, it increases the likelihood that she will get back up to 100% health, 20% health regen at the beginning of each of her turns. So,
this is interesting because a lot of people we saw on the stream with the footage in the background, like Towson is a popular counter to the Jedi, and mainly because Kenobi is so susceptible to the plague, right? You can put plague on Kenobi.
Right.
This character, there's no chance, zero
right.
chance.
No, you're not going to be able to get Kenobi on her. No.
Yeah.
Because her AOE, Remorseful Thrash, is going to give her 10% health for each crit that she scores. Now,
and
Juhani, and protection. But the health is what cleanses plague.
Correct. Yeah.
She is going to be a PvE rock star. For light side territory battles, she's going to be so good. She's going to make all those Old Republic that we're farming to get Revan, or that you might have already farmed to get Revan, viable. She's going to give you a reason to put all those characters into territory battles. Zalbar and Mission together, they're so good. Even without the Zetas, they're just phenomenal by themselves in a PvE setting where you're not, fighting a triumvirate arena squad. Zalbar is good, and Mission's basic does stupid damage. Even at gear 8, she does ridiculous amounts of damage with her.
Oh yeah, especially if you run her slow and just they can't get through Zalbar, she'll go in there just like a freight train and one-shot a character.
Oh my god, it's absolutely bonkers because Zalbar and Mission together, underneath a Carth Onasi lead, are going to be so much fun. The 30% potency, tenacity, critical avoidance from Carth Onasi's leader ability is going to... Well, I mean, that tenacity and critical avoidance are going to be key for Juhani's survivability. You could run Juhani in an Old Republic squad with Carth Onasi, Zalbar, Mission, and Candra's Ordo. You just run the 5 of them together, and Juhani will just be a rock star tank under them because she has that Old Republic synergy.
She is going to be flexible in terms, like, you could put her with the mission of Zalbar, and then she could, taunt, go stealth, let Zalbar take some damage, build up mission, and then you could use L3 elsewhere, or you could use
Absolutely.
You could use Juhani on the Jedi team. I mean, this is a very first impression of the kit. Haven't seen her base stats. Haven't even seen her in action.
We don't know how fast she is. We don't know how much damage she does.
Like if she comes in at like 88 speed, you're like, bleh, like
Yeah.
But I mean, this she could replace and may be a suitable replacement for Kenobi. And you can use Kenobi on a multitude of teams. This is
she'll definitely have to have Kenobi-esque speed, base speed. I mean, like I would say at the absolute minimum, I would like to see her at least a 115 to 125 speed. I think that would have to be like the threshold for minimum speed for me. Because you want to be able to put good health protection mods on her, because a lot of her regen is based off of base health, and 10% health, 10% protection. At the beginning of each turn, she regenerates 20% of her max health. So you want to stack her with health mods. That's a definite. I mean, that's pretty obvious at this point. You want to stack her with health mods to increase that health regeneration at the beginning of each turn. Plus, it gives a bigger threshold. When she drops below 100% health, if you have that health threshold so high, like she has this massive health pool, if she takes a 20,000 crit without protection, that 20,000 off of if she has 60,000 health, that's only a third of her health. And if she's regenerating 20% of that at the beginning of her next turn, and then also uses her special 2 to regenerate 10% health on each crit, and she scores 2 crits, she's just replenished 50% or 40% of her health right there.
But she gets the health steal up too.
And health steal up. My gosh, it is a great buff. It is a good buff. Yeah. She's going to be she's going to present some difficulty, I think, for all those people who wailed out on Revan and are willing to wail out on one character. I think Juhani is definitely making a case for herself as being that candidate to really make Revan that much better.
She looks good on paper. Like we get access to these characters and stuff, and they're we get excited about a lot of them, but this one, I'm like getting a little nervous, like thinking about facing this character in arena.
That part scares me a little, but using her I'm a big PvE fan. PvP, guilty admission here, I'm kind of excited for the Grand Arena because it gives me an opportunity to kind of, I guess, territory war at my own pace. But I think that she is going to be a lot of fun from a PvE perspective.
Well, she's going to be awesome just for the lone fact Juhani gains taunt for 4 turns.
Oh my god, yes.
That's 4 turns. And like if you're facing Scion in P2 of the raid, like that's going to be 4 turns. Like that's a long time. Like that's because there's no dispel on that raid the raid enemy, right? So she's gonna be sitting there. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's a 4-turn cooldown too. So in a PvE setting where taunt is not being dispelled, she's gonna be able to taunt as soon as, like, she'll be able to taunt again and replenish her taunt before it expires. So she'll be able to permanently taunt. That's one thing that is really cool about her kit.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think she's gonna be like, just initial impression. This is definitely an A tier type PvE character, like a very very good PvE character.
And even I might even join you as saying A tier PvP character as well.
Well, that's going to depend a lot on the stats, like we talked about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like if she has if her health pool is stupid large at base, she's going to be a monster. But if she comes in with like Stormtrooper Han like health, you're like, well,
that's true. That's true. She'll definitely require Gear 12 6E health mods to really make her a superstar if she doesn't have a really high base health. But like, yeah, you said, it does depend a lot on her kit. And if her base tenacity isn't very good, then if she's, I mean, one buff immunity could potentially lock her down.
Oh yeah, no stealth, no taunt.
No stealth, no taunt. And imagine throwing a Revan, an enemy Revan, focus on Juhani. She can't stealth to get away from it.
Okay, let me correct myself. She's gonna when she taunts, that's the one that comes with the dispel all debuffs on Jedi and Old Republic. So she's gonna be like First Order Stormtrooper. I guess she's gonna cleanse herself then taunt. So that'd be kind of annoying. But man, she is good. Like every time I relook at something, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, the buff immunity is really just to prevent that offense up, health steal, and stealth whenever she drops below 100 health.
That's going to be an interesting mechanic on a tank. Offense up, health steal up, stealth. That's kind of a new one. Yeah, I need to close this kit before I get a little carried away. It's just
I know, right? The theory crafting is getting a little out of hand.
How's she going to work under Carth? Because Carth does have a leader ability. We'll see, light side Old Republic attacker. They get 30% potency, tenacity, and crit avoidance. So we're seeing even more crit avoidance. The crit avoidance seems to be a thing. They just want to really want to render my crit damage mods I've had for 3 years useless. they want to get me good. Whenever an enemy is inflicted with damage over time, all Old Republic allies recover 3% health and protection.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I think that he is going to bring together all those ragtag Old Republic characters that haven't been very viable outside of really anywhere. All of those damage over time. So think about it. Zalbar, Mission, both inflict damage over time, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me double check.
Yeah. Mission, Zalbar, Ordo, and also Gamorrean Guard is a scoundrel. Well, he's not Old Republic, though. Never mind. But yeah, these are... those alone, that's 4 team members right there. Just throw in a 5th.
Yep. Yeah, Mission doesn't just inflict damage over time with her basic ability. She inflicts damage over time on target enemies for 2 turns when she uses an ability, period. So
she's got that stacking potency, and under Carth here, she's going to get 30% more. Right. She's going to land those dots. I've seen it in the raid. She actually... Every once in a while, if that potency stacks up high enough, she'll land a dot on Scion on P2. And, he's already taken turns. It's not like, the first turn the tenacity is reduced a little bit, I think. The first turn, he landed a debuff, but she's landed them. So the potency is not an issue, which allows you to mod her more, like, damage-oriented character. You can completely neglect potency, which is cool. And especially, oh, man. This is a good leadership ability.
Yeah, I know. And then Canderous doesn't have... He has base 0% potency. So that 30% potency is going to make Canderous Ordo a little bit more viable, because say you stack 50% potency on Canderous, which isn't impossible to do with a potency set with a potency primary cross. You can get in between potency secondaries, you can get him up to 50% potency pretty easily. You throw another 30% potency, 80% potency is pretty much the gold standard of, for PvE, PvP, 80% potency is pretty good. It's good enough for government work, you know what I mean? So that is going to help him incredibly with landing the damage over time on his basic attack. It's really going to be important for making that synergy really work. And Canderous already works great with Mission and Zalbar because of his ability to gain turn meter with every dot that's applied. And what does Canderous Ordo do with his basic? Oh yes, he inflicts damage over time. It's like Canderous. Exactly. It's like Canderous and Carth Onasi were just made for each other. Like it's like they obviously wrote Carth Onasi's kit to work with the ragtag Old Republic that were kind of the castaways or the supporting characters for your Knights of the Old Republic squad.
Yeah, and light side, dark side doesn't seem to matter. I'm reading
all
the
doesn't.
Kids.
Yep.
There's no, because a lot of the scoundrels, like those prepared allies, like a lot of those have light side oriented boosts, and they apply to light side. But Canderous and also Carth here just no mention of dark light side at all, and they're opposite factions. So this is cool.
I do love that this damage over time, like, and you don't need Vader, right? You don't need Vader to make this damage over time synergy really viable, because you're getting 8% turn meter every time a damage over time is inflicted on Canderous. Canderous is getting 8% turn meter every time a damage over time is inflicted, and they're just going to be flying everywhere. Canderous is...
This is nuts.
It is. It's a lot. It looks like it definitely PvE. I would see Canderous.
Yes.
Or Carth Onasi is definitely a PvE lead, because looking at the rest of his kit, his first special, deal physical damage to all enemies and gain offense up for 2 turns. For each critical hit this attack scores, Carth gains 15% turn meter. And then he's got almost a storm or a snow trooper style effect here, because while he's attacking, his unique gives him 10% offense for each active enemy and Old Republic ally. So he's running a full Old Republic team. That's 50% offense. And then look at light side territory battles. There's usually between 5 and 7 enemies on each wave of those territory battle missions, right? That's another 50 to 70% offense. So he could potentially be getting like 120% offense on a full squad. Now, granted, you're not going to have Canderous on a light side territory battle, so you throw in T3 or Bastila or...
Okay, P3 of the tank raid's a perfect example. You just keep mowing down those little side minion droids and just building it up, and all the while, you're stacking dots along the way. Characters are recovering health protection. You throw in that Zalbar Zeta mission and him getting massive amounts of protection regeneration. They'll essentially, if this team's modded and clocked properly, this damage over time team, like Mere Mission and Zalbar could very easily be at 100% protection every time they take a turn with that Zalbar Zeta. This is a very cool thing that has developed here over the course. Because Mission and Zalbar, they're great characters together, but they don't really fit with the Revans, right? People have tried, we've all tried to make it work, and just any Jedi is probably going to be better, just in terms of like arena, right? So this is a way to make them work. This is going to be very, very interesting. Unfortunately, in arena, all you need is Rex to kind of nip this entire faction in the bud here, this little team comp. But you could make the 5th like a Towson. You can bring in Towson to Plague, that way they can't cleanse those dots. That could be an interesting mechanic. Offense only, of course, but that's something that could work. If his damage is nice, this could be a very, very good character, dots aside.
He is an attacker, so you would he's not listed as support. If he was support, I would be worried about his damage not being very good. But he's listed as an attacker. He gains that stacking crit chance, that stacking damage, and it doesn't say until the end of the engagement or the end of the battle. That means it just keeps on stacking, and there's no limit. It's awesome. So whenever he defeats an enemy, he gains 10% crit chance, 10% crit damage, stacking, and the cooldown. The cooldown of just keep shooting is reset, and that's his AoE that for each crit that he scores gains 15% turn meter. So if he's killing somebody, gaining 55% turn meter, and the cooldown is reset, and then the next time he comes up, he does the AoE again with the increased offense, crit chance, and crit damage. He's going to be a lot of fun.
He's going to be very useful. I'm thinking like, even under Vader lead, his basic, it does 10% more damage for each damage over time effect, right? So imagine Vader lead with him in like the Rancor raid.
Oh my God!
Carth is just like basic attacking for 85k over and over and over again. This could be a useful character.
He could be a lot of fun just to play around with in those kinds of scenarios. I could see him for the tank raid too. Throw Vader, the Wampanator. Throw him into a Wampanator. Throw him into a Wampanator team. His basic doing those extra. You got the Wampa doing like 150,000 damage with a basic attack, and then you got Carth Onasi following him up with 185,000 damage on a basic attack.
I'll tell you what, man.
Gets that extra crit damage, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He could, especially if he's stacking up all those crit chance and crit damage from killing droids in Phase 1 under a Wampinator team.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up farmable. If he's in like a Cantina node, I mean,
that'll be a definite farm.
I'm telling you that, like, for a newer player, like, let's say you start the game 4 months from now, if he's in a Cantina node, he's going to be pretty valuable, just getting you through all the initial, gates. Like, he's going to be a very, very helpful character. Again, a lot depends, just like the Juhani, a lot depends on their actual physical stats, right? So I mean, we're just sitting here reading the kit and going nuts. I think. Sounds like we both like these characters a lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a soft spot for Knights of the Old Republic characters in general, but Carth Onasi is one character that I knew had to come to the game.
Oh, he played too big of a role in the first game. He's basically like...
Yeah, he's the guy who wakes you up. Yeah, he's the guy that wakes you up on the Endar Spire. I think he really ties together those Old Republic that didn't really have a home. I think he's definitely going to be a superstar in PvE. I think you're making some very good points and very good suggestions for the Sith tank.
Right? Oh, you too, man. You too.
Fan.
This is I can say I'm much more excited about these two characters than I were the previous two marquees we got, the Darkside Bastila and the Ordo marquees. These are much more exciting.
This is T-Money G, and the other voices you heard were GoodOlMaurice and Miss Passiert. You can find Miss Passiert's channel by looking in the description below for the link, as well as his Twitter account is down there. You can join GoodOlMaurice and I every Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time when we run the Operation Metaverse's stream, The Galaxy's Edge. You can also find our Discord link in the description below. Come and join us.